One, the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the Chamber's special virtual luncheon this afternoon featuring Governor Ned Lamont, sponsored by Eversource. We very much appreciate everyone joining us this afternoon to help us continue this important Middlesex County tradition of welcoming our state's sitting governor in the month of December for some important remarks. We have done our best to put together a great program for you this afternoon, and we have already received a number of important questions for the governor from across our membership. However, if you have a question of your own, please type it into the Q&A portal on the bottom of your screen, or if you are calling into today's event, please email johanna@middlesexchamber.com, and my colleague Johanna Bond, who is managing the technical aspect of today's event, will receive it. We will do our best to get to as many questions as possible depending on time. So let's get right to our program agenda. But before I recognize our chamber chairman for some important remarks, I would like to take this opportunity to, on behalf of the chamber, offer a heartfelt thank you to the public health directors and other professionals from throughout Middlesex County that have done such an amazing job in this very challenging year. These folks, whether they represent one of our municipalities or one of our local health districts, have been accessible to the business community. They have provided important updates at chamber division meetings and other functions, and they have really stepped up at a time when our community needed them the most. This gratitude, of course, extends to all first responders, medical professionals, and others who have been on the front lines of this crisis since the beginning. And I believe you will hear more about these outstanding folks as we move through our program agenda. So thank you for allowing us to open on that important note. And it is now my pleasure to turn the program over to the chairman of the Middlesex County Chamber of Commerce, Tom Byrne.
Thank you, Jeff, and good afternoon, everyone. Good to see everyone. Thank you for joining us, Governor Lamont, and thank you, Jim Judge, for joining us and sponsoring this great event. Just a few remarks on some things that have been happening at the Chamber. We had Holiday on Main Street presents the magic of Middletown, which wrapped up this past Saturday after a very successful run. We had the virtual tree lighting, we had a holiday vehicle parade, we had COVID-friendly pictures with Santa, and even Jingles the Gnome scavenger hunt. I'd like to offer a sincere thank you on behalf of the Chamber to the City of Middletown, Pratt & Whitney, and all the other sponsors and supporters of the magic of Middletown. The Holiday on Main Street Committee, under the jolly leadership of one of Santa's trusted friends, Al Santastefano, put in many volunteer hours over the past several weeks. And we can't forget Chamber Vice President Johanna Bond, as well as Haley Stafford, Danielle Aletta, and Sierra Lopez from the Chamber team. They all did a great job as usual with the ideas, the excitement, and the logistics of the magic of Middletown. We thank them all for their consistent great work and support. I was extremely honored to be part of a Chamber contingent that visited the Connecticut National Guard PPE distribution warehouse in New Britain last Monday. As you may recall, we honored the Guard at last month's Support the Troops and Honor the Veterans member breakfast meeting with our 2020 AT&T Veteran Support Champion of the Year Award. The award was in recognition of their amazing work throughout the state during this very challenging year. And we are happy to have the Adjutant General of the Guard, Major General Fran Yvonne, at our event today. And we continue to appreciate their great service to our state and to our nation. Our visit to the PPE warehouse was amazing. Major Timothy Henderson led a fantastic and informative tour and a discussion of the Guard's work at the warehouse. What impressed me the most was the seamless collaboration of so many National Guard divisions and the state government departments that are overseeing the ordering, warehousing, and distribution of close to 170 million pieces of PPE. It really is quite extraordinary. I'd also, on behalf of the Chamber, like to congratulate Catherine Marks on being named the new District Director for the U.S. Small Business Administration. Catherine, who is attending today's event, is visited Middletown recently in honor of Small Business Saturday, along with both of our U.S. senators. We look forward to working with Catherine, and we would like to again ask everyone to please support our small business community throughout this holiday shopping season. They and we need it more now than ever. We also have a couple new members joining our luncheon today. The Killingworth Women's Organization from Killingworth and Nino's Restaurant here in Middletown. Thank you both for joining our great chamber. Be sure to take advantage of all the benefits that membership has to offer you. That wraps up my remarks. And now I'm going to turn it over to our tech team for a special message from Eversource Energy. Thank you.
At Eversource, the communities where we work are also the cities and towns we call home. From powering local businesses to volunteer work and donations that support local charities, the energy we deliver is the heartbeat of the community, especially when it's needed most. It's one of the reasons why Eversource has been named the most responsible energy company in America.
Thank you very much to everyone that's with us here today. And thank you, Jeff, for starting us up. And of course, Tom Byrne for his extraordinary leadership over this past year. Just a wonderful leader, wonderful person. I would like to recognize a couple of people that are with us here today. First of all, Marco Jakian, who's retiring from the Connecticut State University system. I've been friendly with Mark all the way back to when he worked for Governor Malloy, and before that with Nancy Wyman. He is a truly, truly dedicated individual that has just done a wonderful job wherever he has served the state of Connecticut. Mark, I want to wish you many years of really great retirement, a lot of peace, love, and happiness. You really deserve it. You're a terrific person. Also on today, I'd like to thank President Toro from Central Connecticut State University. We really appreciate everything she's doing to move forward. Yesterday, I was on the phone with Paul Mounds and with the Metro Chamber Group. And I mentioned to him, how impressed I am with this team that the governor has put together with Josh Cabal himself, and of course, our good friend Rob Blanchard, who does so much for the city of Middletown and now is working very, very hard for the governor. And along with David Lehman, this team has just been phenomenal. As you know, my coaching background goes many, many years ago, but I really consider the governor like a really Hall of Fame head coach, because he's really surrounded himself with outstanding people. And these people have really helped the state move forward during these very difficult times. So again, thanks to the governor's great team as we continue to move forward over the next few months until we see that ray of sunlight coming through. Also, I'd like to recognize a very special person, Vin Labella from Lapco Welding. 50 years in the manufacturing business. This guy is just unbelievable. 8 years in Rockfall, 42 years in our industrial park in Middletown, one of the first businesses to go in there. Been involved with us since I came on board with the chamber over 35 years ago. He's expanded 5 times and doubled his employee base. Just a wonderful story of an individual that works so hard to continue the great manufacturing trades we have here throughout Middlesex County. A couple of weeks ago, we ran a major workshop facing the holidays. As you know, we're facing another epidemic in our region in the state of Connecticut, and that is drug and alcohol abuse. We had great panelists, Dr. Michael Kalinowski, Anna Copeland, Dr. Leonard Lave, and Reverend Robin Anderson. A real shout out goes to Commissioner Delphin Ridon of the Demas for doing the great job that she's done. I know she's on the governor's press conference a lot, but I'm so proud of the commissioner, the job that she has done. We run a rep program here under Charles Mitchell. This program has put over 35 people to work with substance abuse problems, all the way from manufacturing to service industries. This is very important. And another shout out would go to Mark Maselli and Margaret Flinter of the Community Health Center and the testing they've been doing throughout the state of Connecticut. It has been unbelievable, the dedication of these employees. And of course, Middlesex Health, under the leadership of Vin Capice, for the job that they have done during this COVID-19 crisis. Also, I'd like to thank Michael Francor of Dale Carnegie for doing a great job for us with our leadership program. And again, we have meant so much to so many of our businesses during these tough times. We had over 33 virtual events this month. We continue to have many, many more over the next months. Before introducing and talking a little bit about Eversource, I'd just like to say a couple of things about our governor. I mentioned this to him in a phone message back in the month of March when the COVID situation started. And Paul Mounds and myself, as we were talking yesterday, people are born for certain things. This state is so fortunate to have a governor like Governor Ned Lamont. His leadership, his commitment, his dedication to this state has been unparalleled. I go back a long time dealing with elected government in the state of Connecticut, and all the governors have been great. But this has been the most tough time that I've seen our state face. And whatever the press conference, whatever it happens, Governor, you always give us that little positive ray of sunshine. For that, I am so, so grateful for you as a leader and an individual. And I'm very, very proud to call you my friend. Now it gives me a great honor to recognize today's sponsor of this event, Eversource. They've been doing this for many years. As you know, it's New England's largest energy leader in the state, in New England area. It's a national leader in clean energy and corporate responsibility and other leaders. Within the past month or so, Eversource has been honored nationally for disability hiring and employment practices, and for its commitment to recruit and hire military veterans. Eversource is a leading contributor to every one of the communities it's in. Our chamber is very fortunate to count them as a strong, long-time member. As you know, they support our Business Education Advisory Council. This is very important as we run a tremendous career fair at Wesleyan for over 1,400 Middlesex County high school students. They also run help us with our business know-how program, which supports minority businesses. 116 people have gone through this program, and this has really made a difference. We want to be an inclusive community, Middletown, and one of the ways we can is to support our minority businesses. And also, before introducing Jim, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Peg Morton, my long time friend, and what a wonderful person, Dan Moore, Kathy Lezon, Mark Massaro, who has really got a shout out at our Cromwell division the other day, and Teresa Hopkins Staton, who has really been done a great job. She has been a key person with our minority program. These members of the Eversource team support our chamber in many, many different ways. Gives me an honor now to introduce Jim Judge, Chairman, CEO of Eversource. Jim has served in this important position since 2016. He's been an employee of Eversource and its other companies for more than 40 years. He's had extensive leadership responsibility for finance, accounting, strategic planning, energy supply, and information technology. But more importantly, Jim gets it. He gets it in the fact of his community involvement, his dedication to make our communities a better place to live and work for all of its citizens. It gives me a great honor to introduce Jim Judge. Mute.
Jim, you're going to have to unmute on your end.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you, Larry, and thanks for the shout out for the Eversource team. They really do a great job, and thanks for all you do for the business community, not only in Middlesex County, but throughout all of Connecticut. I'm very happy to be here again this year to introduce Governor Lamont and talk a little bit about Eversource. Although, Larry, I'll have to say it's different talking into a screen rather than that normal overflowing room that you have, but almost everything is different this year, as you know. Of course, we're all aware that there's another major storm predicted across the state today and tomorrow. We've been carefully monitoring the storm's progress, tracking the latest forecasts, and making sure that we're prepared. We have assembled significant resources for storm response, including crews from other states. We've pre-positioned line and tree crews around Connecticut to be prepared for any damage the storm may cause. And we're also staffing up in our customer contact centers and staying in regular contact with community leaders and the Governor Lamont's administration. I urge everyone to please stay safe as the storm passes through and try to stay off the roads tonight if you can. Although also on the subject of storms, I know that some of the frustration from Tropical Storm Isaias still lingers. The storm caused some of the worst damage that we've ever seen at a time when public sensitivity was high due to COVID restrictions and other concerns. I hope you will not allow the memory of Isaias to overshadow the hard work done every day by Eversource's men and women. As Larry indicated, Eversource has received national recognitions this year, many #1 awards for diversity, for energy efficiency, for corporate social responsibility, for hiring military veterans, and more. And we've just been notified that we're the #1 utility company on Newsweek magazine's most responsible companies list. And that's for the second straight year we've earned that. Our people make this possible. We also remain leading supporters of the towns and cities where we work and live at a time when communities need more assistance than ever. Our employees are strong backers of our annual United Way campaign, our signature community events like the Eversource Hartford Marathon, programs here at the Chamber that Larry mentioned, and many more. Those same people who make so many positive things happen are focused on improving all areas of our business, and in particular, they head out into the storms to serve our customers. During and after Isaias, Governor Lamont and his team were in continual contact with Eversource. He provided support when needed, and he pushed us hard to do better for our customers and communities, which was appropriate and appreciated. His involvement in the process to move to performance-based rate making helped Connecticut reach legislation that will modernize the energy system and improve service for customers. As an experienced business leader, Governor Lamont understands the issues that businesses and their owners face. As governor, he represents the business community's interests in his actions and perspectives. We in the community appreciate his leadership, his straightforwardness, as well as his open door policy of accessibility. Additionally, the governor has shown his ability to lead and protect the people of Connecticut throughout this unexpected and unprecedented COVID pandemic. He has sought to find the challenging balance of promoting public health and safety while protecting economic growth and health. It is my honor to introduce our governor, Ned Lamont. Governor.
Hey, thank you, Jim. It's always good to have somebody under 30 to help you here with this new technology. And here we go again. We got this storm coming up. I've been talking to Joe Nolan and your team. Your position ready to go. We got the drones. As you point out, it's going to be a lighter snow. So I appreciate you doing everything we can to make sure that we get people's power up as fast as we can. And Larry, thank you so much for the kind words about our team. We have an amazing team. I introduced a lot of them at your event just last year, and they're working around the clock. COVID doesn't take a break for the holidays or weekends. And including that, Tom, you were kind enough to mention the Guard, and Fran Evon, who's there. Who would have thought? I mean, the Guard is out there sorting and inventorying and delivering, tens of millions of pieces of PPE. They're the ones putting up the field hospital, beginning up today and tomorrow. I think it's Wyndham and in Hartford. They're the ones helping with the track and trace. They're the ones helping with the testing. They're the ones helping with the vaccination. You never were quite sure what the Guard did before. You sure as heck know what they do now. And I just tell you, it's what a year it's been. Who would have imagined anything like it? I mean, a year ago when I was talking to you, a year and a half ago when I was just taking office, I really focused on some of the big things we had to do in terms of economic growth and development and jobs. And I also knew that it was much more effective if I worked with my fellow governors, and we had allowed those relationships to wither over the last period of time. So I knew that if I wanted to do anything to preserve Long Island Sound, that involved certainly Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and in particular New York and Andrew Cuomo. I knew that if we wanted to speed up rail service from New Haven to New York, I couldn't do that by myself. That involved working with Governor Cuomo. We thought a lot about what are the types of risks that we have as states that probably don't respect borders. And at that point, a year and a half ago, we were thinking about cyber attacks. So I did my best to reach out to Governor Cuomo and through some mutual friends. And finally, after some knocking on the door, got a message back saying that the governor would like to go fishing. Do you like fishing, Governor Lamont? And I said, well, I do now. And then I did a little bit of work and said, all right, well, maybe we should go fishing somewhere on the Connecticut-New York border, maybe something in Long Island Sound, deep sea, kind of equal to go. And I got a message back, what do you think about Lake Ontario? And I said, well, I love Lake Ontario. I looked it up on Google Maps and I was ready to go. And, we spent a fair amount of time getting to know each other as I've gotten to know Charlie Baker, Jim, very well. You're blessed up in Massachusetts with him as governor and Gina Raimondo. And so who would have thunk it? It was just, less than 6 months after that fishing trip that we got that call that Connecticut had suffered its first COVID infection. It wasn't over in Wuhan. It wasn't in Seattle. It was at a Danbury hospital, a New York nurse working at Danbury Hospital. And that's when our relationship changed. And that's when we all worked as one. We worked as one with the hospitals in this state, just absolutely invaluable. No more little competitions between systems, what that meant. Talking to, the governors, including Governor Cuomo, all the time. There was a lot of mixed signals coming from Washington, D.C. It was very important that the governor speak with one voice, in particular, what we were doing, why we were doing it, and asking people to make some sacrifices in the interest of the greater public health. And over time, we went from some of the highest infection and highest fatality rates in the country to some of the lowest throughout our region, by the way. And we're able to do that at the same time we're slowly and methodically opening our economy back up. And fortunately, we never closed outdoor construction. We never closed manufacturing. We kept the bulk of our economy open, but those forward-facing places, service where you interface with people most likely to have spread, that's what we did have to slow down and then reopen. Here we are 6 months later. We weren't not unexpected. We had tracked what happened in 1918. We had heard from some of the best experts in the world who were advising us that you can expect another hit in October, November, December. It's flu season. November, we worried about people voting, worried about universities coming and going, worried about Thanksgiving and social gatherings. And we do still have some work to do. We spiked up a fair amount after Thanksgiving, no question about it. Still 6 or 7%, one of the lowest infection rates in the country, but not where we were just a few months ago. And right now, things have stabilized, and we're doing everything we can. Jim, as you mentioned, to get the right balance in terms of leading with public health, how important that is, and yet keeping the heart of our economy open and giving people the opportunity to work and kids to go to school. I will tell you that a year later since our last talk, I do think about things in a different way. You know, a year ago, we introduced Josh Jabal, who Larry kindly mentioned. Josh had 12 years at IBM. We figured that, look, Connecticut government was a little slow off the draw when it came to technology. We had to bring our state government, make it more tech savvy, make it more customer friendly, see if we can lean up state government. As I used to say with Bongi there from DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, no more inline, online. And we've done a lot there. We've consolidated our personnel departments rather than spread across all the different departments in the state. It's now consolidated so we can allocate people appropriately. We're doing the same thing with technology now, but I also think about technology in a whole different way. I mean, telehealth, you know, people could not go see a doctor for during the peak of the pandemic. A lot of seniors had a hard time seeing a doctor, and that made telehealth and IT take on a whole new meaning. Where if a year ago we thought about healthcare as make it more accessible, make it more affordable, bring down costs, now we began realizing how important it is as health is, available to everybody. I realized that for schools, you know, we were a state more likely to have our schools open for in-person learning than really any state in the Northeast. And for that, I thank our amazing superintendents and our teachers going out there every day. I know how important that was to kids. I know how important that was just to their mental well-being, as well as, keeping the education going. But, that said, over half of our kids were not able to go to school full time. And that meant, again, IT took on a new meaning. It was called virtual learning. And we had to work hard to provide the curriculum and the training for teachers so they could keep these kids in the game. And sorry about tomorrow, kids, by the way. I know we used to call it a snow day. Now we call it a virtual learning day. So there'll still be a little bit of learning to do. I also learned when it comes to IT and how things change in terms of telecommuting. And look, Boston's a great place to visit. New York's a great place to visit, but you don't have to live there to work there. And that really makes us think again about how we expand IT in this state, expand people's opportunity. We've got hundreds of additional free hotspots available for folks who couldn't get it. We got 150,000 Chromebooks to folks who couldn't otherwise afford that type of connectivity. And I will say, telecommuting has sort of changed people's look at Connecticut. If 10 years ago we were a little out of fashion and everybody cool wanted to be in the big city, tens of thousands of people have moved to Connecticut in the last 6 months. Tens of thousands of families, young families, not all old guys like me. What that means in terms of entrepreneurship, what that means in terms of our schools, what that means in terms of getting the state growing again. Things have changed a lot in the last year. I mentioned health. I'd say, look, a year ago we talked about healthcare and reforming healthcare and bringing down costs and making it more accessible. It's a basic right, and nobody should be without healthcare. It's the right thing to do for them. Well, COVID also reminds us that healthcare is the right thing to do for us, all of us. If anybody out there doesn't have access to a test, doesn't have access to a vaccine, doesn't have access to a primary care doc who can direct them, that not only impacts his or her health, impacts the public health. So I got to tell you, with our friends at, the Guard, we've been working really hard to make sure that this healthcare disparity between different demographic groups, we make sure that Black and brown people are get access to the very best healthcare, starting with the testing, starting with the vaccines. They're the ones often in the front line when it comes to being the frontline workers, and they can't telecommute. They're working every day. And that was another learning process. I'd also say transportation. Let's face it, we spent a little bit of time talking about transportation. Trying to get auto traffic is coming back a lot. We were able to get a lot done this last year. A lot of CARES Act money from the feds, and our Department of Transportation was able to work incredibly efficiently at a lot less cost because they work more by daylight hours. They could close down a lane where that was more complicated when there was more traffic. So there were a couple of solutions out there, but I need the legislature to come up with a solution. They didn't like my solution, but they couldn't come up with any solution, and that's a problem. And I'm going to be presenting some other options for them to consider in this coming session, which starts in January. One of the solutions that a few bandied about was taking money from the rainy day fund. And I think that was an historically bad idea, especially given everything that's happened since. We need that rainy day fund. We've got a $3 billion rainy day fund. Folks around the country are taking a second look at Connecticut. Rating agencies are giving us the thumbs up. We ended the last fiscal year, not with a big surplus, but a small surplus. We were able to pay down about $50 million of pension obligations, but also that rainy day fund is really important. I've got other states are out there borrowing in the short-term market, desperate to know what they're going to do if the feds can't step up. We're in a better position. And I got a rainy day fund there to make sure whatever we have to do in terms of public health, whatever I have to do, make sure the vaccinations and the testing go forward on schedule. We'll be able to do that, and we will continue to do that. We've got a lot of work to do. I just want to say, Larry and Tom, to your members and small business out there, I went through the 08, 09 crash. And I know that small business folks that we work with are like a team. As you said about what we're doing in the government is like a team. And, early on, we got a lot of support. The PPP loans, Connecticut got more PPP loans, a paycheck protection for small business per capita than just about any state. I was really happy about that. But now it's 6-8 months later, the PPP has run out, and we're in a pickle. So, what we've done is David Lamont, our head of DECD, we got 10,000 small grants, $5,000 grants out to the very smallest businesses. They're going out as we speak. And these are folks who maybe weren't eligible or able to get access to the PPP. At the same same time, we're going to be rolling out a $25 million small business grant program. And we're going to get that up, within a week. And it's not enough to take care of everybody. It takes care of those, bigger businesses, those restaurants, those that are really struggling. And I hope it's a bridge to the next round we get from the federal government of paycheck protection and what they need. We also have a program, we call it shared work, where if you can't afford to keep that person on board full-time, maybe you only can afford them half-time, keep them on board half-time. Contact Department of Labor, shared work. We'll pay for the other half. It's employment insurance as opposed to unemployment insurance. We got that up and operating right now. I think Pegasus Manufacturing is one of the first right in your region that was able to help take the lead there. And Larry, I'd love Middlesex help as we try and get that program expanded as best we can. We're working on rent relief for landlords as well as tenants. Contact Department of Housing. We still have resources there. We only get those resources through December 31st, by the way, unless Congress changes its mind. So now is the time to step forward. It's not enough. I know the incredible distress that people are going through, but we are getting through it, and we're getting through it together. And if I had one silver lining is, we're sort of dysfunctional in our politics, and we spend a lot of time hitting hard at each other. But when there's a crisis, people come together, and the people of Connecticut have really come together. Legislature, bipartisan basis. We've been working together. They gave me some extraordinary executive powers to do what I can on a timely basis to deal with COVID. I appreciate that vote of confidence. Connecticut, more than just about any state in the country, is generous in terms of its contributions right now. And you can see that measured on a number of different metrics. I heard about Eversource's incredible generosity as well, Jim, for which we're really thankful. We've got Step Up Connecticut for folks, young people that, look, we need you in the classroom as apprentice teachers. We need you helping out our hospitals. We need you when it comes to work in the vaccinations and testing. So Step Up Connecticut, all of which are ways that people are making a difference. Look, I'll just tell you that it comes at you every day as governor. I mean, I kind of knew a lot as a small business person. I've been thinking about this, but COVID was a whole new thing. I couldn't spell COVID a year ago. And, we've had some of the best and the brightest able to help us. And they come from the incredible healthcare community and the scientists that are really important, giving people confidence that now is the time it's safe to take that vaccine and what you want to do. And I've tried to reach outside of the usual orbit to get the best and the brightest to help me. I will tell you that one of the places where I really didn't have that much experience was sewer systems and wastewater treatment and wastewater testing and how that relates to COVID. And I realized pretty soon that I needed somebody who was an expert on wastewater and sewage, somebody who was full of it and knew how to get the job done. And that's why I'm really proud to be able to announce that we have a new member of the team in charge of DRS. His name is Mark Boughton, and this is ground control to Mayor Mark. Are you there?
I'm here. Governor, I always say it may be crap to everybody else, but it's money to us. So turn stuff into money, we will. It's just an honor to work with this governor over the last 2 years. We had a friendship prior to 2018 and had mutual respect and admiration. And when we had a discussion about me joining his administration, I couldn't think of a better person, somebody more dedicated and somebody more, just get the job done. How fast can we get from point A to point B with the minimum amount of nonsense in between? And I think that's the best way to describe Governor Lamont. He's got a vision and a plan. We're working on that right now, and I'm just really excited to be a member of this team.
Well, and so are we, Mark and Larry. Every day we're trying to continue to build out this team, the widest variety of folks, different skill sets, different parties, different parts of the state. Come and roll up your sleeves. This is about solving a problem. We got a lot of work to do. And with that, back to you, Larry. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you all.
Jeff, you ready for some Q&A?
Ready to go, Coach. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Mayor Mark. I guess we have to get used to calling you Commissioner Mark now, but certainly happy to have you in state service. So thank you so much. Governor, you game for a few questions?
Sure.
All right. So we have a number that have come in from all sectors of our economy and all sectors of our membership here. The first one deals with restaurants. As you might imagine, we have a vibrant restaurant scene here in Middletown and throughout Middlesex County, and there's a lot of concern about what will happen with respect to indoor dining as we enter into this winter season. So can you give us a snapshot of your thinking and the thinking of your administration with respect to restaurants and specifically indoor dining?
Yeah, we opened up for outdoor dining on May 20th, indoor dining a few weeks thereafter. We are open now, 50% capacity, close at 10 o'clock. I appreciate that's a hardship for some people, but I'm doing that as best I can to keep the restaurants and frankly, all of our small business open. I have no plans to, close anything right now. I think I just mentioned that we've got a new grant program that's going to focus on small business, in particular restaurants, so we can help provide some support there. And if I can just say, Jeff, go support your local restaurant. I mean, call up and pick up and take out. They're going to be open and they need your support. They deserve your support. And that's what Andy and I will be doing.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate that. We're certainly stressing that. And also for everybody's holiday shopping needs, please support your small business community throughout the state. We would be grateful for that. And I know they would be as well. So moving on here, we have some budget related questions that have come in. You mentioned the upcoming legislative session. As you are keenly aware, the state budget has been seriously impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. Can you give us a sense from your perspective of what you believe what measures will need to be taken in the near term and in the long term to address these significant budget-related challenges?
Yeah, the federal government and Congress gave us the CARES Act money, 6-8 months ago, and that was helpful. It paid for COVID-related expenses, and that was broad. That allowed us to open our schools safely. Paid for an awful lot of testing. Paid for some of the small business grants, things that were impacted. What it would not pay for is lost revenue, and as you can imagine, income and sales tax was down. This year and into this next year, depending on what happens with COVID. So that said, I mentioned the fact that we do have a rainy day fund. We are working closely with President-elect Biden and his team, and as well as we do have a new chairman of appropriations, Rosa DeLauro. So I think we've got some friends down in Washington, D.C. if we see what the federal government's going to do. But my strong feeling is we can get through this this fiscal year. We've got enough resources to take care of ourselves if we have to, without having to slash any social services and without having to raise taxes.
Great, thank you for that answer, Governor. A couple more on the session. I think I'll group these together if you don't mind here. As you know, 3 of the 4 legislative caucus leaders are new this year, and this gentleman is curious if you've had any constructive discussions with them about the session, and are you confident that you can work collaboratively with them to move our state forward? And as an extension of that, what do you expect from the session? Do you expect a narrow focus on COVID mitigation, or are there some larger issues at play as well that may be tackled by the legislature?
I think it'll be bigger than just COVID related, but let's face it, my emergency powers end on February 9th, and we have an awful lot of executive orders out there. And I think the legislature will probably want to come in and lend a point of view. I mean, am I opening the bars too slowly? Keeping the schools open too long? Everybody will have a point of view. And look, as Mark knows, I'm ready to meet with anybody who has a solution. I've said that a number of times. You don't like my budget, show me your budget, show me the numbers. But we're gonna make sure the numbers have got to add up. That's part of the job of governing. And I think we've got a good team there. Little did I know that I'd be one of the old timers in terms of the leadership just 2 years.
Excellent, thank you, Governor. We have a couple that came in with respect to tourism. I'll try to group them together again. Tourism, as you know, is a critical industry in our region and across the state, and it has been severely impacted by the pandemic. What do you expect the state's approach to be on the tourism front in 2021? And of course, what we hope is a rapidly approaching post-pandemic world. But any thoughts on the tourism front, Governor?
I think that tourism is going to be regional for a while longer. And that's what we emphasized this summer. We put in place a really dynamic site. We got more hits to it. A lot of people rediscovered Connecticut, discovered the beauty of Connecticut, the shoreline, the hills, everything that you can do here. And we had a pretty good activity considering all. My hunch is there'll be a lot less travel back and forth across the country and more regional travel. And we're gonna do everything we can to promote Connecticut and promote tourism. It's an important business for each and every one of us, and it introduces people who may not otherwise know it to the beauty of the great state of Connecticut.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Governor. Back to vaccine distribution just for a second. There's a question about what constructive role can organizations like ours, Chamber of Commerce, other support organizations throughout the state, what role can we play with respect to distribution and the timeline? Is it as simple as getting out of the way and helping with promotion, or can we play some other constructive role?
Well, let me start, and then maybe Mark can help me out, since Danbury has been on the front line since the very beginning. But what's really important in terms of vaccine right now is a trusted friend, a trusted source tells you it's the safe thing to do. So to each and every one of you in small business with your employees, you've got to take the lead there and say why it's important for them, their families, the office, the community to take the vaccine. We've got in place with Deirdre and Reggie, a vaccine advisory board. And those are ministers, those are labor leaders, those are business, those are legislators, all of whom can go to their particular communities and explain This is how the vaccine works. This is how it's prioritized. This is how you can get it done, and it's safe to get it done. Please follow up. Mark, any ideas on that?
You know, Governor, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Look, it's going to take a collaborative effort by all of us, business leaders, government, academic leaders, leaders in medicine, to be able to explain to residents that this is the right thing to do, not just because you want to obviously take care of yourself, but because you want to take care of the rest of the community. By you getting a vaccine, you're actually helping other people as well, because we need a certain percentage to reach herd immunity. And to do that, we all have to participate in this program. It is safe, it is effective, and certainly it's something that all of us should set the example. And to the extent that we can talk positively about it, we should do that. Obviously, the governor has prioritized, and his staff have prioritized in his committee who gets what, when, where, and how. But the fact of the matter is that we can't have people that are in leadership positions downplaying it or saying it's not important, because it's vitally important. So the more positive messages we send, the better off we'll all be. And again, there is a number out there that you have to hit in terms of people receiving this vaccine for it to be effective and being able to stem the tide of COVID. And by the way, then we can all get back to work. And Governor, I think I can start raising more taxes for you.
What'd you say?
Not raising taxes, raising taxes.
Must have gone on mute there for a second, but
Yeah.
Loud and clear, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Governor. Moving on here, we do have a question back to transportation, Governor, if you don't mind. There's a question about the possibility of tolling returning as part of the conversation with respect to the transportation fund, which is not looking sustainable at this point. You mentioned you have some plans that you're discussing with the legislature. Are you prepared to share those in any way, shape, or form, or is it a bit of a wait and see approach?
No, it's not a wait and see. We're rolling out different ideas. I think, you know, what I thought was the best idea last year. And now, more importantly, I've got to present some other alternatives to the legislature, but they got to decide. You just can't hope it's a problem that goes away, or take it from the general fund, send it to the transportation fund. We've been rearranging those deck chairs for a while. That's not how to solve the problem.
All right, very good. Sorry to be jumping around on you here, Governor, but now we're going to go to manufacturing. And we mentioned this to you when you joined us, and it was either May or June, but it's really clear from our end that one of the most impactful early decisions you made was to deem manufacturing essential. And Coach and I have been all over this from the beginning, but can you give us a sense from your perspective as the current health of the critical industry of manufacturing in our state? What are you hearing from our manufacturers across the state?
Well, first of all, you know, Jeff, you're right. We early on, New York, I think Massachusetts, other states were closing down manufacturing. We really thought that we could do it safely. It was complicated. You know, we didn't have vaccines back then, but we really were doing the mask and made a big emphasis on getting testing availability there as well, and give people confidence that you could show up at work and do it safely. That kept, you know, the heart of our economy open. We had you know, more of our GDP came back than most of our peers there. You know, more broadly, you know, a year ago, the biggest problem I thought for manufacturing was we weren't training the people for the jobs that are out there right now. And if we couldn't provide the job skills, manufacturing is going to go elsewhere. And I still feel that way. You know, we've got the, you know, Middletown High, I think the manufacturing site where we're training people right now for the jobs that are going. So young people can get a running head start. We can fill those jobs so that EB, Pratt, Sikorsky, everybody in the supply chain, all your businesses, will train people to make sure you don't have to look any further than Connecticut for a job well done.
Excellent. You can count on our support on that front, Governor, certainly. Switching gears here to resilience, we have a question that reads, what can the state do to become more resilient in the face of future pandemics or the many other threats that may face us down the road? What role can chambers of commerce play with respect to these efforts? And another one that just came in, how do we get the many people who moved to Connecticut during the pandemic to stay in Connecticut in a post-pandemic world?
Well, I'll start with the latter. Folks who are moving here, our indications are most of them want to stay. Our schools are open. You don't have to take a subway. You don't have to take elevators necessarily. You can get to New York or Boston or wherever, you know, a little bit easier. And I think it's a big plus for where we want to be as a state. We got to take advantage of that. More broadly, what was the other part of the question, Jeff?
Just a general resilience in the state, and how can we insulate ourselves as best we can to the threat of future pandemics and other threats?
As I suggested before, I think healthcare, we got to make sure that we deal with that. Think about the incredible demographic disparities. Some people get hit much harder than others. I think we've got a pretty good running head start though. Our hospital system's working as one, so that if Southern Connecticut is overwhelmed, Northern Connecticut hospitals can help out and vice versa. That was really important back in April and May. Danbury Hospital, Mark, they were getting hit really hard. This time around, the virus is a little more broadly spread, so we don't have quite that opportunity. But I think we're putting in place the infrastructure we need. Look, I'll tell you, we got the testing now. We've got a stockpile of PPE, masks, and gowns. Nobody had that before. We were just in time. We've got that. Our hospitals have it. We're so much better prepared than we were 8 months ago. But you're right, Jeff. I'm afraid this will not be the last pandemic we see in our lifetimes.
Good, Governor. Thank you. I think we have time for one, maybe two more, if you're game. You did mention that $10,000, $5,000 grants were received and processed by DECD. Do you have a sense when these organizations or companies that applied will know whether or not they are recipients?
I think you'll know by next week.
Okay, very good. This next one with this serious winter storm heading our way, maybe Jim would want to weigh in on this as well. But the question is, Eversource or the state of Connecticut making changes with respect to winter plans for storm events after last year's relatively light year?
You want to start with that, Jim?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we do have the benefit of having 3 states that we serve. So we tend to move the crews around where the demand is most. And we also have extensive relationships with contractors. And while we got off easy last winter, I think we've been around a long time. We realize that the winters are cyclical here. And I think we're well prepared for this storm. There will be some outages, but the key will be the restoration effort, how quickly we can get people back.
Yeah, I would just add, we're staying safe, staying home. Don't go out there on the roads. If your car spins out, that can slow up a snowplow. That can create incredible problems in terms of getting things open again. Jim's got his guys on the road. They've got to be out there. They can't telecommute. They're going to be out there for 24 hours doing the job. We've got our amazing Connecticut Guard doing the same thing, our Emergency Operations Center. People aren't going home for a while in many of these cases. And I think we're battle tested at this point. It's been a tough year. I think our team is battle tested, and we're going to turn the corner on this snowstorm, and more importantly, turn the corner on COVID. It's a really important, month or two coming up. Really important as we get these vaccines out. Really important that all of our frontline healthcare and nursing home folks will have not 1 but 2 vaccinations by the end of January. What that means in terms of capacity for our hospitals. Then we bring it out to our broader population, starting with those first responders. As Larry said, there's a sunrise out there. We can see it. We just got to stay focused between here and there, and we'll get there together.
Well, Governor, again, I want to thank you immensely for being with us here today. Also, Mark, always great to see you. Tom, I want to thank you for your terrific leadership again for the Chamber, our board of directors, our great staff. Jim, thank you and your team for everything. You're a great support of ours. Just like to close with a little thing from my coaching background. And that is, as the governor just said, we will win this. We will come out on top, especially with the governor that we have in leadership. This guy is dedicated to making sure that all of us are safe as we move forward. He's dedicated to having a new economy coming on board in the state of Connecticut. And he's dedicated, more importantly, to every citizen in the state of Connecticut. Governor, I'm very, very proud of you. And I want to wish everyone a tremendous holiday season. I hope you all have peace, love, and happiness. And just remember one thing, the sun always shines in Middlesex County. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, Coach.